Rebuild India. Chapter 3 Awakening the Masses. By Swami Vivekanand. The masses in our country are like the sleeping Leviathan. Can you put life into this dead mass, dead to almost all moral aspiration, dead to all future possibilities, and always ready to spring upon those that would try to do good to them? Can you take the position of a physician who tries to pour medicine down the throat of a kicking and refractory child? I heard in Japan that it was the belief of the girls of that country that their dolls would be animated if they were loved with all their heart. I too believe that India will awake again if anyone could love with all his heart the people of the country, bereft of the grace of affluence, of blasted fortune, their discretion totally lost, downtrodden, ever starved, quarrelsome, and envious. We, as a nation, have lost our individuality, and that is the cause of all mischief in India. We must restore to the nation its lost sense of self and uplift the masses. India is to be raised, the poor are to be fed, education is to be spread, and the evil of priestcraft is to be removed. More bread, more opportunity for everybody. The first requirement is the worship of the Kurm, tortoise, incarnation, and the belly god is, in a sense, this Kurm. Until you satisfy this, no one will listen to your words about religion. India is restless with the thought of how to face this spectre of hunger. First of all, you must remove this evil of hunger and starvation, this constant anxiety for bare existence, from those to whom you want to preach religion, otherwise, lectures and such things will be of no benefit. First bread and then religion. We stuff them too much with religion, when the poor fellows have been starving. No dogmas will satisfy the pangs of hunger. For half a century, there has been much talk about social reform. Traveling across various parts of India over the past 10 years, I have seen the country filled with social reform associations. Yet I did not find a single association dedicated to the very people whose toil and suffering have made the so-called gentlemen what they are, and keep them so. If we truly wish to regenerate India, we must work for these people. No amount of politics will succeed until the masses of India are once again well educated, well fed, and properly cared for. Remember that the nation lives in the cottage. Yet, alas, no one has ever truly done anything for them. The fate of a nation does not rest on the number of husbands their widows marry, but on the condition of the masses. Can you uplift them? Can you restore to them their lost individuality without diminishing their innate spiritual nature? This must be done, and we shall do it. A nation is the sum of countless individual lives. I have no ambition beyond nurturing individuals. We must take care of ourselves, that is all within our power. For the world can be good and pure only if our lives are good and pure. The world is the effect, and we are the cause. Therefore, let us purify ourselves. Let us strive for perfection. The uplift of the women, the awakening of the masses must come first, and then only can any real good come about for the country, for India. Let me tell you as one who has been working, at least trying to work, all his life, that there is no regeneration for India until you be spiritual. Religion and religion alone is the life of India, and when that goes, India will die. So every improvement in India requires first of all an upheaval in religion. Before flooding India with socialistic or political ideas, first deluged the land with spiritual ideas. The national ideals of India are renunciation and service. Intensify her in those channels, and the rest will take care of itself. All the reformers in India made the serious mistake of holding religion accountable for all the horrors of priestcraft and degeneration and went forthwith to pull down the indestructible structure. And what was the result? Failure. Beginning from Buddha down to Ram Mohan Roy, everyone made the mistake of holding caste to be a religious institution and tried to pull down religion and caste altogether, and failed. Listen, my friend, by the grace of the Lord, I have discovered the secret. Religion is not at fault. I insist that no destruction of religion is needed to improve Hindu society. The condition of our society is not because of religion, but because religion has not been applied to society in the way it ought to have been. This I am prepared to prove, word for word, from our ancient scriptures. This state of affairs must be changed, not by tearing down religion, but by living according to the great teachings of the Hindu faith. For good or for ill, the religious ideal has flowed through India for thousands of years. For good or ill, the atmosphere of India has been filled with spiritual ideals for countless centuries. For good or ill, we have been born and raised in the very midst of these religious ideas, until they have entered into our very blood, mingled with every drop in our veins, and become part of our very constitution, the vitality of our lives. Can you cast aside such religion without awakening the same immense force in reaction, without filling the channel that this mighty river has carved out over thousands of years? Do you expect the Ganga to retreat to its icy source and carve out a new course? Even if that were imaginable, it would be impossible for this nation to abandon her age-old path of religious life and suddenly adopt a new career in politics or something else. One can only work under the law of least resistance, and in India, religion is that line of least resistance. It is the line of life, the line of growth, and the line of well-being for India, to follow the track of religion. I do not mean to say that other things are unnecessary. I do not mean that political or social improvements are unimportant. But what I do mean, and I want you to remember this, is that in India they are secondary, while religion is primary. The Indian mind is first and foremost religious, and only afterwards anything else. Our very lifeblood is spirituality. If it flows clear, strong, pure, and vigorous, everything else will be set right. Political, social, and material defects, even the poverty of the land, will be cured if that blood remains pure. In India, social reform must be preached by showing how it leads to a more spiritual life, and politics must be preached by showing how it will strengthen the one thing the nation truly desires, its spirituality. Everything points to the rise of socialism, or some form of rule by the people, call it what you will. The people will certainly demand satisfaction of their material needs, less toil, freedom from oppression and war, more food. But what guarantee do we have that this or any civilization will endure unless it is founded upon religion, upon the goodness within humanity? Only spiritual knowledge can remove misery forever. Every other kind of knowledge meets needs only for a time. Therefore, our aim must be to ensure that everyone, even the Chandala, is helped to attain the right to dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, virtue, wealth, rightful enjoyment, and liberation. Keep this motto ever before you, the elevation of the masses without injuring their religion. Another great lesson we must remember: imitation is not civilization. Imitation, weak, cowardly imitation, never leads to progress. It is truly a mark of deep degradation in a person. We certainly have many things to learn from others. Indeed, the one who refuses to learn is already dead. But learn only what is good, take it in, and make it your own. Do not become someone else. Do not be pulled away from Indian life. Never think, even for a moment, that India would be better if all her people dressed, ate, and behaved like another race. Look back, then, as far as you can. Drink deeply from the eternal fountains of the past, and then look forward, march forward, and make India brighter, greater, and higher than she has ever been. Most of the reforms agitated for in the past century have been superficial. Every one of them has touched only the first two castes, and no others. The question of widow remarriage, for example, does not affect 70% of Indian women. All such issues concern mainly the higher castes, those who, remember, are educated at the expense of the masses. Every effort has been spent in cleaning only their own houses. But that is not true reformation. Our mission is for the destitute, the poor, and the illiterate peasants and laboring classes, and only if, after everything has been done for them first, there is still time, then for the gentry. These peasants and workers can be won only through love. One must raise oneself by one's own exertions. This is true in every sphere. We must help them to help themselves. The moment they begin to understand their own condition and feel the need for help and improvement, know that your work is bearing fruit and moving in the right direction. The peasants and laboring people are in a near lifeless condition. What is needed is that the moneyed classes help them regain their vitality, and nothing more. After that, leave the peasants and workers to face their own problems, to grapple with them, and to solve them. It takes time, often a long time, to create a healthy, strong public opinion that can solve its own problems. Meanwhile, we must be patient. The whole issue of social reform, then, comes down to this: where are the people who want reform? Make them first. Where is the nation? The tyranny of a minority is the worst form of tyranny the world has ever known. A handful of men who believe certain things are evil cannot move a nation. Why does the nation not move? First educate the nation, create a legislative body, and then the laws will naturally follow. First create the power, the sanction from which law can arise. The kings are gone. Where now is the new sanction, the new power of the people? Bring it forth. Therefore, even for social reform, the first duty is to educate the people, and we must be patient until that time arrives. All the wealth in the world cannot help a single Indian village if the people there are not taught to help themselves. Our work must be primarily educational, moral as well as intellectual. Education is not the mere stuffing of information into the brain that lies there, undigested, all through life. What we need is the life-building, man-making, character-making assimilation of ideas. If you have absorbed and lived by 5 ideas, making them part of your life and character, you are better educated than the one who has memorized an entire library. The true ideal is this: the whole education of our country, spiritual as well as secular, must be in our own hands, shaped on national lines and through national methods, as far as possible. It has often been said that if the masses are educated, the whole world will collapse. In India especially, we encounter narrow-minded elders everywhere who wish to keep everything secret from the common people. Such men flatter themselves into believing they are the crème de la crème of the universe. But do they speak out of concern for society, or are they blinded by selfishness? For the luxury of a handful of the rich, should millions of men and women remain sunk in poverty and smothered in ignorance, for fear that if they gain wealth and education, society will be upset? But who makes up society? The millions, or you, I, and a few others from the upper classes? A nation advances only in proportion to the spread of education and intelligence among the masses. If India is to rise again, it must be by spreading education to the masses. Educate and uplift the people, only then can a nation exist. Our reformers fail to see where the real wound lies. Education, education, education alone. Traveling through many cities of Europe and seeing the comfort and learning enjoyed even by the poor, I could not help but think of the condition of our own poor people, and I often shed tears. What made the difference? The answer was clear: education. The only true service we can render to our lower classes is to give them education, to restore their lost individuality. They must be given ideas, their eyes must be opened to what is happening in the world around them, then they will work out their own salvation. Every nation, every man, every woman must work out their own destiny. Give them ideas, that is the only help they need, and the rest will follow naturally. Our role is to put the elements together. Crystallization will come through the laws of nature. Our duty is to put ideas into their minds, they will do the rest. This is the task before us in India. My plans are simple: to reach the masses of India. We must follow the path laid down by our ancestors, bringing lofty ideals slowly down to the people, lifting them step by step toward equality. Even secular knowledge must be imparted through religion. Suppose you start schools all over India for the poor, still, how can you truly educate them? A boy of working age would be better off at the plough or at his trade than in your classroom. But if the mountain does not go to Muhammad, then Muhammad can come to the mountain. Why should not education go door to door? If a ploughman's boy cannot come to education, let us carry education to him, at the plough, in the factory, wherever he may be. Walk with him like his shadow. Most of the education for the poor, for now, must be given orally. The time is not yet ripe for schools alone. Raise a fund, purchase magic lanterns, maps, globes, and simple chemicals. Each evening, gather the poor, the downtrodden, even the pariahs, and first speak to them of religion. Then, using these tools, teach them astronomy, geography, and other subjects in their own dialect. Your duty now is to travel from place to place, from village to village, and awaken the people. Teach them that sitting idle will no longer do. Make them aware of their true condition, and cry out to them, "O ye brothers, arise! Awake! How much longer would you remain asleep?" Show them ways to improve their own lives, and explain the profound truths of the Shastras in clear, simple language. Impress upon their minds that they have the same right to religion as the Brahmins. Initiate all, even down to the Chandalas, in these fiery mantras. Also instruct them, in simple words, about the necessities of life, and in trade, commerce, agriculture, etc. It would be far better if the people received some technical education, enabling them to work with their hands and earn their own bread, instead of wandering about in search of service. What is the use of education if it does not help the common man or woman face the struggles of life? What is its value if it does not produce strength of character, a spirit of service, and the courage of a lion? True education is that which builds character, strengthens the mind, expands the intellect, and enables one to stand firmly on one's own feet. It is hard to understand why, in this country, such a gulf is made between men and women, when Vedanta itself declares that the same conscious self dwells in all beings. You are quick to criticize women, but tell me, what have you actually done for their uplift? Every nation that has risen to greatness has done so by giving due respect to women. No country that dishonors its women has ever become great, nor will it ever rise in the future. If you do not uplift women, the living embodiment of the Divine Mother, then do not think that your nation has any other path to progress. Women face many and serious problems, but none that cannot be solved by the magic word, education. Educate your women first, and then leave them free. They will tell you themselves what reforms are needed. Women must be empowered to solve their own problems in their own way. Who are you to dictate to them? Are you God? Hands off. Female education must be spread, with religion at its center. All other training is secondary. Religious discipline, the building of character, and the cultivation of purity, these must form the foundation. The women of India must grow and flourish in the footsteps of Sita, that alone is the way. Any attempt to modernize our women, if it leads them away from Sita's ideal, is bound to fail, as we see around us every day. Our Hindu women instinctively understand the meaning of chastity. It is their sacred inheritance. Above all else, strengthen this ideal within them, so that they may build a character of unshakable strength. With such character, whether married or single by choice, they will never hesitate to give up even their very lives rather than yield an inch from their purity. Alongside this, let them also study science and other useful subjects, knowledge that will enrich not only their own lives but also serve society at large. If women's lives in this country are molded in this way, then once more we shall see the rise of ideal characters like Sita, Savitri, and Gargi. When women are raised up, their children will carry forward their nobility through action, bringing glory to the nation. Then culture, knowledge, strength, and devotion will once again awaken in our land. Do not destroy. Iconoclastic reformers rarely do good to the world. Do not break, do not pull anything down, rather, build. Help, if you can, if not, simply fold your hands and let things move on. Do not injure, if you cannot render help. Take man as he stands, and from there, give him a lift. What can you or I really do? Can we truly teach even a child? No. The child teaches himself. Our duty is to create opportunities and remove obstacles. My whole ambition in life is to set in motion a great machinery that will carry noble ideas to every doorstep, and then let men and women shape their own destiny. Liberty of thought and action is the very condition of life, of growth, and of well-being. Without it, individuals, races, and nations must perish. As man must have liberty to think and to speak, so too must he have liberty in food, dress, marriage, and in all matters of life, so long as he does not harm others. Above all, what we need today is strength. The cure for weakness is not to brood over it, but to think of strength. What India now needs are muscles of iron, nerves of steel, and wills so gigantic that nothing can resist them, wills that can penetrate the mysteries of the universe and accomplish their purpose, even if it means facing death in the depths of the ocean. And the very first step towards strength is to uphold the Upanishads and believe, I am the soul. That truth alone holds power enough to invigorate the whole world. For centuries our people have been taught only doctrines of degradation. Let them now hear of the Atman, that even the lowest of the low carry within them that deathless, birthless self. Wherever I have seen evil, ignorance, suffering, or corruption, I have always found its root in the belief in differences. And wherever I have seen good, it has come from faith in unity, in the underlying oneness of all existence. This is the great Vedantic ideal. The truths of the Vedant must not remain hidden in forests or caves. They must step out into daily life, into the courtroom and the pulpit, into the homes of the poor, among fishermen at work, and with students in their studies. These truths speak to every man, woman, and child, whatever their occupation, wherever they may be. Let us take them up and live by them, then the salvation of India will not be far away. Even if there is inequality in nature, society must ensure equal opportunities for all. In fact, the weaker must be given greater support than the strong. A Brahman's son may need one teacher, a Chandala's son may need 10. Extra help must be given where nature has withheld advantage. These neglected ones must be uplifted. We must proclaim words of hope and faith. You too are men, equal in dignity, with the same rights as we. The solution is not to pull the higher down, but to raise the lower up. The ideal at one end is the Brahman, and at the other the Chandala. The task is to raise the Chandal to the level of the Brahman. The only way to break the tyranny of caste is by spreading education and culture, the true strength of the higher classes, to all. We must be careful never to create class strife between the poor peasants, the working people, and the wealthy. The very idea of privilege is the bane of human life. Whenever privilege has been broken down, greater light and progress have come to humanity. The truth is clear, there must be absolutely no privilege for anyone. It is natural that some, by talent or aptitude, may accumulate more wealth than others. But it is not natural, nor just, that this power should give them the right to oppress or trample upon those who cannot acquire as much. That misuse of advantage is privilege, and against privilege the struggle has always been waged. The essence of morality has, throughout the ages, been to destroy privilege. True progress lies in moving towards equality, towards unity, while still preserving variety. Therefore, let us trample out every form of privilege in ourselves and in society, and work instead for that higher knowledge which awakens the sense of oneness with all mankind. One of the great causes of India's misery and downfall has been her narrowing of vision. She shut herself away, like an oyster retreating into its shell, refusing to share her treasures and wisdom with the rest of humanity. But the law of life is give and take. If India wishes to rise again, she must once more bring forth her spiritual treasures and offer them freely to the nations of the world, and in return, be open to receive what others have to give her. Expansion is life, contraction is death. Love is life, hatred is death. What we need today is Western science united with Vedanta, with Brahmacharya as the guiding ideal, and Shraddha, faith in oneself, at the core. Can you be a true Westerner in spirit, in equality, freedom, work, and energy, while at the same time a Hindu to the backbone in religious culture and instincts? That is the challenge. Instead of wasting energy in idle talk, learn from the Englishman, prompt obedience to leaders, freedom from jealousy, perseverance without end, and unwavering faith in oneself. One must learn to obey before one can command. Without unity, free from jealousy, and disciplined under leadership, there can be no power of organization. India must learn from Europe the conquest of external nature. Europe must learn from India the conquest of internal nature. Each has developed one phase of humanity, but the future demands their union. 3 things are necessary to make every man, and every nation, truly great: conviction in the power of goodness, freedom from jealousy and suspicion, willingness to help all who strive to do good. Let us first wipe away the stain of jealousy. Envy no one. Lend your hand to every worker of good. Send forth goodwill to every being in the 3 worlds. To broaden, to expand, to universalize, that is the goal. Nothing else is needed but love, sincerity, and patience. What we need now is intense karma yoga, unbounded courage and indomitable strength of heart. If you respect my words, then open wide the doors and windows of your life. Around you are countless poor, degraded, and suffering people. You must go to them with zeal and serve them with all your heart. Distribute medicine to the sick and nurse them with care. Feed the starving. Teach the ignorant with whatever knowledge you can offer. Imagine 100,000 men and women, aflame with holiness, armed with faith in the Lord, and strengthened by compassion for the poor and downtrodden, spreading across the land to preach the gospel of salvation, the gospel of service, the gospel of equality. India will awaken only when such large-hearted men and women renounce personal luxury and dedicate themselves wholly to the upliftment of millions of their countrymen who are sinking deeper into poverty and ignorance.